Hi there, and welcome to Motivational Moments Live with me, Belinda Bwedu, your host. Welcome to Motivational Moments Live with me, Belinda Bwedu, your host. For some of you, it's a little bit new, a little bit different to have me chatting with you today on IG. Our usual home tends to be Facebook Live, but since we're starting a new season, a new edition, I thought, why not give IG a try and see how we get on, on here. So if you're watching, you are very, very warmly welcome. I'm so excited to have your attention and to have you on board, and hopefully you will stay for the entire session, and we're going to have a great time whilst on here. It's a brand new season, so we're in our season 4 of Motivational Moments. And if you have no clue what we've been talking about so far, then by all means do check out my YouTube page, which is Belinda Bwedu. You can also find it under Motivational Moments, and you can catch up with literally season 1 all the way up to season 3. But yes, super excited to be back on again. Took a little break to deal with a ton of other things, but boy am I excited to be back again and to divulge in a number of super interesting topics. Today, without further ado, we're going to be talking about purposeful living. Purposeful living. You know me, I always sort of deal with topics that I feel I can speak to, that I have experience on, that I have had the opportunity to, dissect and live through. So definitely wanting to share some of my thoughts on this particular topic. And by all means, as always, if you have any questions, any comments, do let me know. It is a little bit different for me to be on IG, so bear with me if I'm missing something or if I'm not able to catch up on your questions or comments quick enough. Bear with me, I'm still trying to figure things out. But yes, let's get stuck in. Today we're talking about purposeful living. First of all, what is purposeful living? Is it needed? Is it important? Should you be subscribing to it? Does it matter whether you do or you don't? Purposeful living is basically being intentional about everything you do, right? Whether that be to do with your work aspirations and goals, your career aspirations, your business aspirations, or whether that is to do with how you spend your free time and how you raise your family or how you handle your relationship. It is so important to be deliberate and purposeful with doing these things. It's the difference between going through things with a clear goal in mind versus going through things lackluster, with no idea what results you want to get to at the end, with no real plan added to what you're trying to do. So herein lies the difference. You tackle something with a real intentions, with real purpose, or you're just going through the motions and it doesn't really matter what the outcome is. If it's like this, it's okay. If it's like that, it's okay. You're not bothered. I feel like most of you will certainly agree that you want to do things that have the results that you want. You want to go into a relationship, for example, and get the results you want. No one, absolutely no one, likes to be bamboozled. If you go into a relationship and your intention is that you want a serious relationship, at the end of it you want to be married, you want to go into that relationship with those intentions in mind and with that other person feeling the same way. You don't want to put 2 feet into a relationship where you feel like you want marriage out of it and the other party feels like they want a one-night wonder type of situation. So if you just picture that scenario, it helps you to sort of apply it to everything in your life, whether that be things that are to do with you personally, your personal life, or whether that be your career aspirations, your business goals, and so on and so forth. I think it's extremely important to be intentional about everything you do. It's sort of my mantra and my motto. And don't get me wrong, being intentional doesn't mean you have it all figured out. It doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't mean that you know every single detail of everything you're doing. Absolutely not. However, being intentional has in mind that you're willing to find out, that you're willing to do what it takes to figure out how to give it your best, how to get out of it what you want, how to reach the goals that you're trying to reach. Therein lies the difference. So it is certainly a huge mantra of mine to try and be intentional and try and be purpose driven behind everything I do. I set these goals and targets in mind years in advance, and I'll cite an example. When I was way younger, way before I got married, even met my husband, way before I had my kids, I decided that once I'm a mother, once I have a family, I want to be a particular type of mother. I want to pay my family particular type of attention, raise them in a particular type of way. And I always had it in the back of my mind, way before I started my family. And the more I got closer to sort of getting to that goal of, having a family, the more I started to actually visualize what that would look like. I actually started to see what that would feel like. And boom, once I started a family, there I was, ensuring that I was living a very purpose-driven family life, raising my kids in a very intentional manner, making decisions in advance about what I wanted for their future. For example, a lot of you may know that my kids are homeschooled, not by accident, not because of COVID, no. From the get-go, homeschooling is the decision that I made for my kids for a particular number of years, because for me, I felt that gave them the right head start for their long-term future. Another example is my children are pescatarian. People are like, well, you're not pescatarian. Well, I was for a period of time, but nonetheless, that's not the reason. I decided that I wanted to raise my kids as pescatarians. They eat only fish, they eat only vegetables, no meat, no poultry, nothing else, nothing like that. Because I wanted to make a very early on health conscious decisions for my children's future. So I hope that's beginning to give you a very clear picture of what it means to be intentional, what it means to be purpose driven with the decisions that you're making for your life. So that sort of covers the family angle. There are other parts that you definitely don't get to have it figured out in advance. You find yourself in it before you sort of have to start making decisions about what direction you go. But as I said earlier on, it's not so much to do with knowing it all in advance, and far more to do with having the intention to do the best and to have a purposeful, or what's the word I'm looking for, like sort of an intentional arrangement with what you're going through. So absolutely, when it comes to say my career, I've always had a very major idea of what I wanted to do, not in terms of job title, but from a very early age, I was all about wanting to help people. I then began to have an understanding of what it was to counsel, what it was to listen to people, solve problems. Then I went down the psychology route because I thought, oh, well, that's pretty much what that sounds like I want to do. Then I realized it's a bit rigid. If you're in a practice, you have to follow very systematic practices, and that's not me. I don't like rigidity at all. So I was like, okay, it's great to have the foundations in psychology, great to have an understanding of, how the human mind works, how human beings behavioral process, how that all works. Now, how do I use all of this with what's already innate within me to be able to do that which I absolutely love doing. So I didn't have it figured out, but before I knew it, because I have the intention, because I'm purpose driven, I found that everything I was doing was leading me down a particular path. So hey presto, here I go with having my first business, Impact and Impact, which is all to do with consulting from a career angle, consulting from an educational angle, and consulting from a business angle. That's been extremely exciting. I had that going very strongly and still going now, not as full time, shall I say, as I started off, but it's been absolutely phenomenal and helping me be able to do what I love doing, but across different areas with minimal rigidity. And then I found myself going down another path, or another avenue, once I started having children and having a family. And then I set up Atana Moms, Atana Women, which is all to do with bringing women together and providing them with everything they need, to have a success in their womanhood journey, in their motherhood journey. A major part of that is listening to women's problems, trying to find solutions, bringing in other people, experts, to provide women with the best possible expertise across so many different fields. So whether I liked it or not, whether I realized it or not, my original intention, which I literally had, I kid you not, from the age of 4 or 5, grew and blossomed into all the things that are manifesting in my life today. And if anyone knows me well, if you've met me before, whether in the UK, in Belgium, in Ghana, in America, anywhere, right, you will immediately know that Belinda is all about this sort of helping aura, consulting aura. Let's find a solution. Let's get you to where you want to be. Let's have you doing what you desire to do. So that's that intention, that purpose within me has flourished, has blossomed from a very early age, fast forward, and here I am, doing all the things that I had always desired to do. And I know that I'm not even literally a quarter of the journey through, but it feels amazing to know that the purpose that I had, or the visions that I had, are kind of aligning, and that I am walking the right path. So that's, in a nutshell, a very long nutshell, what it is to be purpose driven, what it is to be purposeful in your life, and having an intention in mind. Now, another very important aspect of this is that you have to have vision, okay? If you're going to a destination, even if you're going to see a friend, right? You are not going to get there. You won't even know when you have arrived if you don't have a vision of the destination you're trying to get to. I'm talking in very practical terms. If you have no sort of idea of who this friend is, sometimes you're going to meet someone you've never met before, but before you make the arrangements, they might tell you, I'll be wearing a blue top, I'll have on a pink hairband, I look like this. Then you know what you're looking for. So when you find it, you will know. So vision in living a purposeful, a purpose-driven life is absolutely crucial. There is a need to sit yourself down if you are unsure of what you want in life, where you're heading in life, where you're going. There is an absolute need to ensure that you have the vision of where you're trying to go in mind. Sit yourself down and figure it out. It doesn't take a day. It might not take a week, a month. It can take a long time, but you have to have it in mind. Belinda, what is it that I'm trying to achieve? What in life makes me happy? What in life makes me feel fulfilled? Everything seems like such a mouthful today. It's been a while, pardon me. So absolutely, have vision. The only way you're going to live a purposeful life, an intentional life, is if you can attach a vision, a clear vision to what you're trying to achieve. Look, it doesn't always have to be this big grand master plan. It doesn't always have to be far ahead in the future that you're trying to see. It can even be a day-to-day vision in the beginning of the day, right? What is it I'm trying to get out of this day? A lot of you know I'm a Christian. When our day starts, and certainly when my husband's about to leave for work, we have a moment where the family all comes together. It doesn't matter what anyone is doing, what the kids are doing, unless perhaps they're sleeping. We all come together and we pray and we speak into our day. And we say, at the end of the day, this is what we want to have achieved. This is where we want to have reached, right? That's how we handle it in my home. You might handle it very differently. But in essence, that's you having a vision for what you want from that day. And I tell you, I kid you not, most times, I will say 90% of the time, 95% of the time, when we have spoken it very clearly, we will get to the end of the day and we would have achieved exactly that which we have spoken out loud. A clear example, yesterday, all of a sudden, my daughter was so ill. It was like a slap in the face from where that came from, but we were like, no, this is not happening. This is not happening. There is way too much at stake this week, especially for illness to come and, kind of take over and overshadow it. So we took a moment and said, by this time tomorrow, there will be no signs of illness. All of it must go. We spoke it out loud. We said it as a prayer. Myself and my baby boy, my 1.5-year-old, he took the lead on it actually. And lo and behold, to my very own surprise, though I ought not to be surprised, by the time she woke up this morning, there was no signs of just how unwell she was yesterday. Poof, gone. So you have to have a vision in mind. I saw my girl healthy. I saw my girl fit. I saw my girl happy. And by the next morning, hey presto, there we were with a fit, happy young girl. This is just an example of how it doesn't have to be a major thing. It doesn't have to be looking 30 years down the line. It can literally be looking from morning into the evening. It can be looking from the beginning of the week to the end of the week, or the beginning of the month to the end of the month. And it's entirely up to you what you see, what your vision is going to be for that day. Have a vision. I think that I've made it more than clear enough. If you have any more questions about that, feel free to send those to me and I'll be happy to address them. And then another important thing which goes hand in hand with have a vision is set goals. Set clear goals. The example I cited goes hand in hand with what with the goal setting. If you have a vision, the next step is to set goals that will help you get towards the vision. So for example, I mean, if your vision is that you want to do a particular thing, or let me phrase my words well. If you are trying to achieve a particular goal, say a business goal, you can't just say, oh, I have a vision to run the best company and make the most money in this industry. The goal is, how am I going to do that? What are the 5 steps, the 10 steps, the 20 steps that I need to take to help me achieve that vision? It's not enough to just think it, wish it. You have to take the steps necessary to help you get there. So if you want to make money, that's what a lot of it, I must say, a lot of young people, if you ask them, what do you want to be in the future? That answer might be rich, right? And then you ask them, but how are you going to get rich? Oh, I don't really know, but I just want to be rich. Therein lies the difference. You can say I want to be rich because I want to be the leading in XYZ industry by the age of so and so, and I'm going to achieve this by achieving my degree, doing an internship in a top company, and then working my way up to become the best something or the other. I'll give you a great example of something that I lived through myself. When I started my first ever big career job after university, it was in an investment banking consulting firm. I had no clue. It wasn't it wasn't a field, an industry that was my background, but I went into sort of the HR and recruitment side of that firm. And I said to myself, Belinda, this is your first ever big career, you doing a big job. In 6 months' time, girl, no, sorry, I said in 9 months' time to a year, you have to be promoted, okay? Girl, you're gonna work your socks off, you're gonna do whatever it takes to be promoted. And don't get me wrong, I started off in a great position, I had a great salary, but that was my aim for myself. Lo and behold, under 6 months later, my manager calls me into a meeting, congratulates me, says I've been working extremely hard, I've been showing a lot of growth, a lot of understanding of the industry. Boom, she wants to promote me. So it's so important to know what you want and set the goals. If I said I want to be promoted and I didn't do anything towards that, I can't be surprised when I don't reach that goal when the time comes. I just simply cannot be surprised. But it took me maybe working late hours, going the extra mile. It actually took me sitting down with a lot of consultants and learning stuff, detailed stuff that essentially had nothing to do with my role, but by going that extra mile, it gave me a deeper understanding of everyone else around me and helped me cater to them so much more. So yes, 6 months, way earlier than the target I had even set myself, I received my first promotion, and amazingly it didn't end there. But that's just to give you an example of how important it is to set goals for yourself when you're trying to live a purposeful life, when you're trying to be intentional. So far we've defined what being intentional and living a purposeful life is all about. We've spoken about having vision, and I've just talked about setting goals and how critically important that is. Then you also, I think I talked about this earlier, but it is so important to be intentional about the small things, because if you can't be intentional about the small things, how are you going to be intentional about the big things? For example, if you're trying to save money to build a house, to start a mortgage, whatever, and you can't even be disciplined in saving small amounts of money that will help you buy the smaller ticket things that you needed in life, how do you expect to suddenly acquire the discipline it takes to save money for a mortgage or save money to build a house? You understand? So it's so important to be very intentional about the small things. One of the things that I did for myself recently, and I was so excited about it, it was weird. Anyone else would be thinking, how on earth does this make you excited? But I decided that I was gonna have a corner to myself in the house that was my workstation, so a home office. Previously I've sort of been stationing myself a little bit everywhere around the house, in the dining area, but I realized that it wasn't helping me in terms of being able to help everyone else understand that I'm working and this is my working time. Especially the kids, they want to have access to mommy all the time. So having this home office corner space was so important to me, just so I could define to myself and to my family that, look, these is my working space. This is my working time. Whenever you see me here, you have to be mindful of the conversations you're looking to have with me, because you are interrupting me at work, just like I might have been walking into your office, wherever it might be, and interrupting you at work. And it's only been a week and a bit, but it's doing absolute wonders for my productivity, for helping the rest of the family understand that, hey, mommy does a full-time job. Despite the fact that it's at home, I work here full-time. And it's been amazing, the changes it's brought to my home. And as I said, what it's helped me to achieve has just been phenomenal. So that's being intentional about the small things. It meant I had to put in money to buy my desk, to buy all my cabinets and make this office corner happen, but it's a very happy space for me. I've made it in a way that makes me feel happy, that makes me feel like I have a clear mind, that helps me, achieve the things that I want to achieve in the day. I make my list, I go through them, and I try to just go through it in a greater manner as I possibly can. So be intentional about the small things. It also means I have to be intentional about taking a break, right? Because I found that initially the first 3 days that I had my office space, I was there all the time, which was unhealthy for me and not very fair on the kids, because they were being told quite often that mommy is at work, don't interrupt, don't disturb. So I had to be intentional about taking these breaks and making the breaks really matter to them, where it's a time where I stop everything I'm doing, come and sit down with them, where I'm not necessarily on my phone whilst around them, which can be a bit difficult when you're in the middle of planning a major event. But we're talking about maybe half an hour here, an hour there. It's not going to kill anyone. So it's been phenomenal setting these clear intentions, setting these goals, and doing what it takes to reach them, because ultimately, if my vision is to be more productive, if my vision is to reach certain milestones by a certain time, taking these smaller intentional steps is certainly helping me get there. It's making my children feel like they have special access to me. Yay, mommy is on a break. Mom, let's watch Viva for the 10,000th time since it was released. Oh, mom, I want this from the kitchen. What are we eating? This morning we made pancakes. They had so much fun. But it's these small little things that isn't a 30-year plan, if you understand what I mean. It isn't this long-term goal, but it's small little things that's ticking boxes. Are your kids happy? Are you happy? Is your family happy? Are you reaching the goals you're trying to reach within your business, within your career? And if you're able to tick off yes on a day-by-day basis, week by week, month by month, then you're living a purposeful life. Then you're getting close. You're doing really, really well, right? Awesome. So, and let's talk about productivity for a second, right? Are you productively doing nothing? Because that's the thing. That's the thing. Or are you productively doing something? And let me put it in different terms. Some I guess in Africa they call it, are you a busybody? Are you doing a whole bunch of things that is not getting you anywhere? Make sure you are productively doing something. Let me tell you what productively doing nothing looks like. And this is no shade on anyone. I will cite myself as an example. Productively doing nothing may be me being on my phone, doing things that isn't reaching a particular goal. I can be on my phone and I can be scrolling through Pinterest for hours, right? But scrolling through Pinterest has clear intentions and will add up to particular goals for my business, right? So there is a reason why I'm on there. I'm not just there checking things out. I'm not just there seeking the latest piece of gossip, maybe on IG or on Facebook. If you're, let me show you the difference though. If you're a blogger, going out there and seeking the latest piece of gossip is you being extremely productively doing something, because that's obviously the nature of your job. But if you have real goals to meet in a different sector, in a different area, and you're busy very productively giving your time to Facebook, to IG, to YouTube, to anything, to TikTok. Gosh, TikTok steals a lot of people's time. No shade on my husband, but yeah. Then you're in trouble. You are literally in trouble, and you need to really have a good think about where you are with your goals, where you are with being intentional. Are you actually achieving the goals that you're trying to achieve, or are you productively doing nothing? Yeah, understand the difference and fall in the right space, right? Align in the right area. You definitely want to make sure you're productively doing something. um, yeah, and I think just to sort of wrap up, um, being intentional is equally being intentional about how much or how well you relax or take a break. And a great example of that is, I run a ton of women. For those of you who don't know what that is, I'll definitely brief you on that. We are this weekend putting up a retreat because the reality is that women do an awful lot, right? We're busy looking after everyone but ourselves. We're running a home, we're running businesses, we're going to work, we are cooking, we're cleaning, we are nurturing, mothering, we're accounting, we're being doctors, we're literally being absolutely everything under the sun. And we don't tend to take time to just say, no, these 2 hours are for me. This weekend is for me. So, for example, I've been working my socks off to put together this retreat that is intentional about relaxing, intentional about rejuvenating, intentional about de-stressing. And putting that together, I had to think about a lot of things, right? What is it that women, because this is for women, so in my thinking it was, what is it that women need? What is it that women want when they are caring for themselves? So the 48 hours is loaded with spa treatment, loaded with parties, loaded with boot camp and fitness, loaded with rest, loaded with food, sort of all the things that we really need to come out of, that after we do, we come out of it and we feel refreshed, we feel rejuvenated, we feel ready to tackle, a few more hours, weeks, months of caring for everyone else because we took just a few moments to look after and care for ourselves. So that's an example to show you that it is important, just as important, to be intentional about you taking time out, you stepping away. It might be you saying, you know what, my mental well-being is so important to me. Maybe being in a certain environment or being exposed to certain things sets me off. So I need to be intentional about detaching myself from that. And that's okay. Sometimes it hurts other people in the process because they don't always understand what you're going through. They don't always understand why you are motivated to do the things that you're doing. But you know yourself best. And it is necessary to be intentional about those things. Being intentional might mean that, hey, every evening I am going to stop what I'm doing at a certain time and just take 10 minutes to breathe. 10 minutes to just woosah it all out. 10 minutes to just meditate, to pray, whatever it is that you need to do to be intentional about relaxing, be intentional about your me time, be intentional about what you get out of your own life. Do that. Yes? So absolutely, let's live purposeful lives. Let's go through our day-to-day, our week-to-week, month-to-month, and year-to-year with clear intention, clear vision, clear goals in mind. You need to be aware of what direction you're heading. Your goals need to be measurable, okay? Even if the idea of what you're trying to achieve is not. So for example, if you're trying to relax more, if you set certain goals, when you do those things, do you feel more relaxed? That's measurable. That's a question you can ask yourself. If you're trying to reach a certain stage within your business, if you're trying to get to a certain level within your career, set clear goals like I cited earlier. I said to myself, in such and such time, I wish to be promoted. So your goal is that you have to see a promotion after that stage of time. 6 months later, earlier than the goal I had set myself, I had been promoted. Again, that is measurable. Okay? If you're trying to be fitter, if you're trying to be healthier, set clear goals. Your goals are, okay, I'm going to reduce my portions. Your goals are, I'm going to cook with less oil, less saturated fat, etc., etc. You set yourself a timeline. Maybe after 4 months, 6 months, I want to have lost such and such a weight. I want to be able to fit in such and such size dress. That's measurable. Okay? So all your goals, the things that you're trying to be purposeful about, you need to be able to measure it. The only way you can measure it is if you have a vision in mind. The only way you know you're at your destination is if you knew where you were going in the first place. I can't have an idea in mind that I'm trying to get to Paddington and then reach Kensington and say I have arrived. It doesn't work that way. I cannot say that I'm trying to get to Tema and then reach Osu and say that I have arrived. It simply doesn't work that way. So it has to be measurable. Without a vision in mind, you cannot measure. It's that simple. So I'm concluding. Today we have spoken about purposeful living an intentional life. We've spoken about what that means. It means being able to have an intention behind everything that you're doing, whether it's big, whether it's small. We've spoken about having a clear vision. We've spoken about setting clear goals. We've also spoken about being intentional about the small things. We've spoken about, are you productively doing nothing or are you productively doing something? Because those are the two options you have, and trust me, whether you like it or not, you're falling into one of those categories. So make sure you are aligning in the right category. Then we've spoken about be intentional, even about the relaxation, even about the smaller things, even about being intentional about when you want to do nothing. That is my session today, my first session in our season 4. I hope that you have enjoyed it. If you like the fact that we are doing this on IG, let me know. Give me some hearts, give me some waves, give me something so I can start planning where we're going to be hosting season 4, whether we're going to go back to Facebook or whether we're going to stick to IG. In either case, make sure, please, that you're following Belinda Boadu on YouTube, because they will be loaded onto that platform regardless. If you have any questions, I'm always happy to answer questions. It helps me feel like I'm achieving my purpose and helping people, so do let me know. As I said earlier, I'm not too used to using IG, so I think I'm going to take a moment at a point and just scroll through, see if there are any questions that I missed. This new season, I want to deal with things that matter to us more intrinsically. So we'll be talking a lot more about these types of things. If you have particular topics that you have in mind, specific things that you want to know about, let me know so I can start planning and sharing at the appropriate time. Another great piece of information is that we are going to have a regular time, a regular day at least, right? We will figure out on what platform, but certainly we're going to be doing this every 2 weeks. So keep your eyes peeled on my IG page, on my Facebook page, all the various places, and I will provide you with more information. But every 2 weeks, definitely, we will have a Motivational Moments live session. I'm so grateful you joined me, guys, and if you stuck around from the very beginning, I'm grateful. Just a few pieces of information. Please follow Belinda Boadu. If you're not already doing so, follow Belinda Boadu Cooking. It gives you lots of fantastic dishes, inspiration. If you're a bit fed up with the things that you've been cooking and you want a bit of a boost, a bit of inspiration, it's going to provide you with a wealth of that. Please, 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 if you're a woman, follow Atana. Woman, trust me. I've been saying for ages that we're doing amazing things on that platform. And if you know, you know. If you're interested in joining the retreat, technically registration is closed. But if you really need that break, if you really need that relaxation, let me know. And I'll give you a little hookup, sister girl. I can hook you up. But follow Atana Women. We are on IG, we're on Facebook, we are on Clubhouse every 2 weeks discussing extremely exciting topics. This Friday, we're on with another great topic that you're all having the opportunity to share your experiences and learn from other women about. For the men, follow Atana Men. I've been telling y'all for a while that we're building something pretty awesome, and trust me, I am not lying. So follow Atana Men, and we will have your time, your zone sorted out for you real soon. If you're into your fashion, your accessories, follow Bella's Blessing, where you can find amazing pieces, typically handmade clothing, jewelry, and what's the word for creams? I can't find a word for things that fall under the category creams for hair and so on and so forth. Someone help me. My brain has gone blank, but you feel me. You know what I'm talking about. And and of course, we're not on Impart and Impact talking right now, but if you like these sessions, please follow Impart and Impact. Motivational Moments Live falls under Impart and Impact. You can find it on IG, on Facebook, or you can check out the website www.impart with an R and impact with a C.com, providing education, career and business consulting, as well as training sessions. We'll be happy to meet all your training and consulting needs. So it's been lovely having you all on board, ladies and gents. Thanks for having me in your homes from IG. I hope to see you again soon. I always struggle to figure out how to end IG Live, so bear with me whilst I still try and figure it out. But otherwise, have an amazing evening. Quick scroll through to see if I missed any questions. So many of you joined in. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's see. Lots of hearts and hugs. Yes, V, you do need it. Having an office space is awesome. Thank you, Remedy. I'm glad you found it insightful. So I think we'll end it there. Have an awesome evening, guys. Speak soon.